game 1, click on the HTML. So we've got these turkeys that are bouncing around. I want to replace the turkeys with a single ball. I'm just going to go into Google and look up an image of a ball. Ball images. So here's a nice ball. I'm just going to take a picture of this ball. I'm going to go into my preview and see if we can delete everything but the ball. Tools, adjust color, close that window. I'm going to go to the magic wand tool, tell it to select everything but the actual ball and delete. Now we get a transparent background around the ball. I'm going to remove a little bit of the width of this ball. I'm going to go to rectangular selection. Selected all of that, click on crop. It may have took off too much there, so let's undo that and try again. All right, good enough. Let's resize that, adjust size, and I'm going to tell that to be 50 pixels wide, like that. File, I want to save that inside my folder, our games 1, and I'm going to call it ball. Oh, inside images, and I'm just going to call this ball, like that. And I already have one, but I'm going to replace it. I need to make some paddles. Find an image of something that you want to use. I could use a brick. I'm going to take a selection of this brick into my preview, new. I want to rotate that. There's one of my paddles. It might have to adjust the size in a second, so I'm going to go get another brick, something that looks different. These ones look nice. Okay, but notice they're not the same dimensions. I need them to be the same dimension. Back into my preview, new. I'm going to rotate that one. Now I like the size of this one. I want that one to be the same size as this one. Let's look at the size of this one. Tools, adjust size. This is 36 by 228. Let's go to this one. Tools, adjust size. This is locked, which means it'll keep it proportional. I'm going to unlock that. 36 by 228. Now these have the same dimensions. Let's save this as save. I'm going to call that red brick. This one as gray brick. I wonder if we can colorize that. Go to tools, adjust the color so we can change the tint. Can tint that, and I can make it a bit more purple. We can do something like that. Save that, call that purple brick. Save. I want to make a sprite with each of those. Let's go into our code. Inside the game code, right now I have an array of turkeys. I'm going to get rid of that array, the max turkey stuff, and I'm going to make a var. One is going to be called ball. Let's get rid of this code. Ball is equal to new sprite. We are getting a ball.png. So let's go into our sprite. We don't need a number for that. So we just have the X and Y position, the X and Y velocity, and the source of the image. That's good enough for us. We don't need this I hit stuff. Let's save that back into the game. I have my ball is a new sprite. I need to move the ball in the move function. Let's get rid of all of this code. We're just saying ball.move. Then we have ball.draw. Just remove all that for now. Save that and let us see if that works. It says I is not found inside JavaScript 18. On line 18, yeah, it doesn't like this I thing. I forgot to remove that. On sprite JavaScript number 2, it doesn't like the number thing. And let's get rid of the width and height. Let's get rid of the width and height down here. We don't need that yet. Save and let's run. There's the ball. It is, does it bounce against the wall? It bounces, not at all. Let's go and look at the bounce code because I removed this width and this height. Let's put that back in, width and height. And we're going to say that this width, this dot W is equal to W, and this dot height is equal to height. All right, in our constructor, we're getting the width and height, and then it can bounce. Back into the main, we have to tell it the width and height of the object. So the ball is 50 by 50. I'm going to put 50 here, comma, 50. When it gets to the edge of the screen, it should bounce. And it bounced right on time. Bounce, good, okay. And bounce up against the top, good. So it's bouncing where we would expect it to bounce. It is moving terribly slow. Now we want to put the paddles in. So we're just going to do exactly what we did, or very similar to what we did with the balls. So I'm going to make a new sprite for each paddle, var paddle R for right paddle, and paddle L for left paddle. I'm just going to copy the code for the ball, and I'm going to place that with my paddle right and paddle left. One is going to be red brick, and the other one is going to be purple brick. We have to give it a position. The X position for the red brick here, I'm just going to move that to 10 pixels. I want to move it like if this was the corner of the screen, I want to like move it like a little bit off the wall and about mid-screen. Okay, and the height of the screen was 500, so we're going to move it to 250. 250. The velocity, I'm going to give it 0 velocity. The width 36 by 228. 36 by 228. Same with the other one. Replace all of this. And instead of being 10, I'm going to go like what's the width of the screen? Is 800, so I'm going to go to the width minus 10, and then the width of the brick is 36. Actually, I have to subtract the 36. Minus 36 minus 10 is minus 46, something like that, 46. Then we have to move the paddles. Then we have to draw the paddles. Save that and see if that runs. And there it is. These paddles are a little bit bigger than I expected. To move them, we're going to need something called an event listener. It's going to need to listen to the keyboard when we press the down arrow. Like we want to move the paddle downwards. We need to make an event listener in our main program. I'm going to put window.add event listener. We're looking for a key down event. Key down. We're going to go to a function called myKeyDown, and we haven't made it yet. Let's go and make that function. myKeyDown. We're going to take an argument of an event. Whenever the window detects that you've clicked on the key, it will trigger this event. It'll send an event argument, that what key has been pressed, for example, to myKeyDown. I like to put these little things after beginning at the end of my functions, visually separates the functions. All right, put a console log. I'm going to make a variable. I'm going to call it my key is equal to the event.keyCode. Keycode. In the console log, we're just going to say we pressed what the key is, like that. Let's save that, run it. So here's the program. So if I press the up arrow, it says we press 38. So up arrow is 38. The left arrow is 37. The up arrow is 38. The right arrow is 39. The down arrow is 40. 37, 38, 39, 40. That's the controls. We want the up and down arrow, let's say, to control the purple sprite. In my key down, I'm going to say if my key is equal to 38, that's the up. You just press the up arrow. I am going to make the paddle that's on the right-hand side of the screen, I'm going to change its position, or I can change its velocity. Let's try changing the position first. So I'm going to say, let's make the Y value go up by 1. The paddle's Y position, let's just make it go up by 1, plus equals 1. Let's put an else. If we hit the down arrow, which is 40, the paddle is going to go down. Save that. I'm clicking the up arrow. I'm moving the wrong thing. It's this guy's moving, okay, and he's moving the wrong way. He's moving down. You see how it's scrolling? That's what's called a default. There's default behavior. Whenever you hit the arrow key in a browser window, it thinks you want to scroll. So it'll try and scroll that. We have to tell it, okay, don't scroll. We have to tell it to prevent that default. Back into the code, I'm going to tell it to prevent the default. And I confused my left and my right back here when we were moving stuff or when I was positioning them. My right sprite was at 10. Let's just switch these. Let's call this left and this one right. We also need to prevent the default. We put an event, prevent default. And that'll stop it from scrolling. If we hit the 38 key, let's prevent the default. If we hit the 40 key, let's prevent the default. Let's see if that works. These are going in the opposite directions that we expected them to be going in. If I press the up arrow, I have to actually click in it first. If I press the up arrow, the paddle's moving up, but terribly slow. If I press the down arrow, it moves down, but once again, very slow. I want to speed that up. One of the things I can do is, instead of going up by 1, we can go up by 10. 10 times as fast. Let's try and run that. Click. And now we're moving up, and now we're moving down. That controls it. So that's one way of controlling it. Another way of controlling it, does that move as fast as you want? That might not be terribly fast. We can move it a little bit faster. Let's change that to 20. Here, let's run that. That's a little bit better. It does move. But to make it a little bit more interesting, one of the things we could do is we could play with the velocity instead of the position, just to show you what that looks like, which is what I prefer to do, but you can do whatever you want. If I change the velocity in the Y direction and the velocity in the Y direction, let's just change that by 1. It's getting faster and faster. It has a speed, and it has that bounce code, so you can move it, slow it down, and speed it up, and it becomes a little bit more challenging to control. So whichever, I like this because it also looks a little bit more smooth. You're able to move stuff, but you have to control its speed. Here we have the paddles. They seem to be working. We're able to control the speed of the paddles, or one paddle. Let's do that to the other paddle. Let's use the A and Z as the up and down. Let's see what A is. A is, pressed A and we got 65, and Z is 90, which is 65 plus 25, because it's 20, it's like the A is the first letter and the Z is the 26th, so they're 25 letters apart. I want to get this paddle to move. 65 and 90 are the paddles. I'm just going to copy this code, replace 65 is the up, which we're subtracting off the Y on the left arrow key, and 90 is the down. That is for paddle left. Save that. We don't need the prevent default because A and Z's don't scroll the screen. Save that, run that. So now if I press the A, the paddle moves up. If I press the Oops, I press the Z, it moves down. You can easily get out of control. The next thing I need to do is make some hit code for when the ball hits the paddles.